that the only thing that's left is the good, the bad, and the brainless?
I think so.
All right, Cousin Jay, what do you got for your good this week?
Subscribe.
I'm just going to go with AEW Collision. You put on this new show. Tony Khan has 20 different shows in 50 different professional leagues that he's trying to manage simultaneously. You think the cocaine would run dry. You think that everything would fall apart. You think there would be 5 QTV segments, 37 new factions, and just a whole bunch of mishmash of bullcrap going on. But they put on a really good show. Fans turned out for it in person and watching on the television. And that's good for us and that good for AEW. So I'm going with Collision.
Okay. I was going to go with Collision, but I changed my mind, and I'm going with L.A. Knight. Him absolutely destroying Logan Paul on Monday was enough for me to get that. And now I just found out he beat Rey Mysterio. So now he gets my good for this week.
And you can't teach that. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah? Let me talk to you. What do you got for your bad?
I'm going to go with Jim Ross. I appreciate the fact that JR tried to make his date and be part of the commentary team for Collision. I get it, dude. I really do. I've done a whole bunch of stupid things going to work when I shouldn't have. It ain't worth it. Specifically at your age, you got nothing to prove to anybody. You're not going to call out for no reason. I mean, just seeing that picture of your eye, you fell because you're an old man.
Yep.
Like, stay home. So Jim Ross, this isn't a knock on you as far as like your commitment or what you've done in the wrestling industry, but like, dude, when stuff like that happens, just stay home.
Yep.
And heal. I'm glad that, after the show you realized maybe I shouldn't have come and you have gone home.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you're going to rest up until you get back to where you need to be, which is the important thing. For me, for the bad for this week, I am going with the TNT Championship. If I have to go into any more detail as to why the TNT title gets my bad for this week, then clearly you have not watched anything on AEW over the last year and a half.
Yeah. Look at that. Chris Brown is saying his good is Vince of all people, saving Ciampa from booking hell. Huh.
Interesting.
That's interesting because my brainless goes with Vince and booking Tommaso Ciampa. I thought it was a terrible idea. Like, I understand where they were coming from, having him do a thing with Miz, but if you want to have a guy who, he didn't have enough time to get a large following on the main roster. If you want him to make an impact, to have an imprint on that show that means something, at this point, I have a great respect for The Miz and what he's done for the last almost 20 years. I really do. But winning a match against The Miz ain't getting you too many places these days. Just see Dexter Lumis, Snoop Dogg,
Yep.
Pat McAfee.
Greg the Bunny.
Yeah. So I'm going with that as my brainless. I was not a big fan of that.
I understand where you're coming from, and I do agree. I actually thought Raw was good until I realized that's what they did and screwed everything up. And I really didn't like how it just, like you said, it felt flat when The Miz had his match with Ciampa, and now we know why. But I mean, all in all, Raw was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. I really like Finn beating the shit out of him. But my Brainless. Look, I've said it before in this podcast, and I'll say it again. I do not need to see Jeff Jarrett on my television anymore in 2023. He is better suited to help Tony Khan out backstage. I could overlook it because, unfortunately, Jeff Jarrett at either 60 or almost 60 is better than 80% of the dudes in AEW. So I'll give him a pass for that. I really don't need to see Sonjay Dutt. I really don't. He brings nothing to this. Jay Lethal's really the only part of that I actually want to see because Jay Lethal can talk and he can actually go in the ring and he's actually entertaining. I don't need to see the stupid giant that they keep calling a giant and it doesn't really do anything other than just exist. But then you drag Karen Jarrett into this. And I'm like, okay, great. Now we get to see Karen Jarrett. Now, if it wasn't for the fact that it felt like Impact before, bringing Karen Jarrett in, of course, that's definitely not going to make it feel like Impact Wrestling. So you kind of drag poor Mark Briscoe, who's already been through enough this year, and his dad. By the way, his dad's cool as shit. So he's gonna be excused from this whole thing. But why is Ref Aubrey getting dragged into this shit? She's already the worst part about freaking AEW if you don't count the EVPs. I see this.
Or QT Marshall.
What was the second name?
QTV or QT.
Yeah, nobody wants to see any of that. I don't need to see Ref Aubrey. In fact, if she's refereeing the match that's on TV, I turn the channel or just glue my face to my phone. But the fact is you had her wrestle. And if you've seen her referee, you know that she can't wrestle. She was trying to do moves, and it's watching her and Karen Jarrett's kind of like that terrible match that Charmel was in Impact Wrestling all those years ago. That almost made my list of 10, but it didn't. That was bad. I felt the same way watching Aubrey and Karen Jarrett go at it like I did watching Kenny Omega and the Fuck Doll go at it. I didn't need to see it. I wish I never saw it. And I am very upset with myself because for the rest of my life, I have to live with the fact that I watched Ref Aubrey Edwards, oh nay nay, actually wrestle a wrestling match in 2023.
Mm. All right, so Chris Brown said his bad is Logan Paul being gifted a spot in Money in the Bank without earning it, and Brainless is witnessing Alba Fire losing NXT tag belts to a couple of posers.